All right, here we go. So, um, one of the first questions the editor told me to ask you is, how'd you end up with the name Moogie?
It's not that great a story. It's only a coincidence that they say it as a mold synthesizer. My real name is Mark, and when I was two, my 6-year-old sister would call me Marky. My 3-year-old brother tried to call me Marky, but it came out Moogie. So I've had the name Moogie since I was two as a nickname,
That's
and it's just purely coincidental that it ended up I played a mold synthesizer.
that's
Nothing to
cool,
do with
man.
that.
That's actually a similar story than Geddy Lee of Rush fame. His name is Gary, and his grandmother had a really
Uh-huh.
thick Jewish accent, and she used to call him Geddy, Geddy. So
Oh,
that's how he ended up with the name Geddy.
oh, very good.
So mispronunciations rule. Very
There you
cool.
go.
There you go. So how'd you end up becoming a piano player? What was your musical background? Was piano your original instrument?
I took some guitar lessons, but that was really before rock and roll was exposed to me, and took Spanish flamenco guitar around 11 years old. But then I used to watch a lot of movies on TV, like the old Hollywood movies, and they had this movie called Rhapsody in Blue. When I was 12, I saw it. The story of George Gershwin, and I saw him play the Rhapsody in Blue in the movie, and I said, that's what I want to do. I want to be a piano player. I want to play the Rhapsody in Blue. So the day after I saw the movie at age 12, I decided to start playing the piano, which was easy because we had an upright piano in our living room. But they pushed me into guitar lessons instead of piano. So I started playing piano the next day. And so I really started playing the piano at age 12. And that's how I became a piano player from seeing the movie Rhapsody in Blue and worshiping George Gershwin.
Wow. Well, that's great. That's definitely a great not only introduction to piano, but introduction to harmonic writing and melodic writing, and I could see a lot of that influence in your playing. Definitely,
Like
it's
Gershwin, especially you get a piece like Freak Parade, which is kind of based on the Rhapsody in Blue itself, with the themes like that
yeah.
from the Utopia album. Then you have a piece like The Conquering of the West, which is my part of the icon, which was really a tribute to Aaron Copland, who were two of my biggest influences, George Gershwin and Aaron Copland.
So that's a similar approach that you had to progressive rock as Keith Emerson with his influence of Copeland and kind of instead of having it be just purely technical, really you were just kind of trying to create robust emotional music. And I noticed that in your playing. It's not. I mean, you're technically very proficient, but what really comes out is emotion out of your playing and a almost kind of cinematic feel. Um, and a lot of Utopia music and a lot of the music you did on your solo records has that cinematic feel. Um, do you agree?
Well, I never heard anybody say I had a cinematic feel before, but it sounds good to me.
Well, you seem to.
I've always had a weakness for movie soundtrack music.
I noticed that especially on Moogie 2 with tracks like Blue Mother and stuff like that. That's like kind of like an instrumental interludes and the your ability to create moving music without lyrics as well.
Yep.
Very cool. So speaking of your writing, I noticed a lot of similarities between you and Todd, especially with your choice of chords and chord progressions. Is there a reason for that?
Well, when we started hanging out together, we were both listening to a lot of Laura Nyro. When we were about 19 and 18, we were both into Eli and the 13th Confession, the second album, and very few people even knew she existed at that time. And we were both really hung up on her and writing songs in that ilk. That's why a song like Crying in the Sunshine, which we just did at the last Utopia concerts, It's an Laura Nyro tribute, and that's why Todd digs it, because he did Laura too. He wrote a Laura Nyro tribute on his second or first album, actually.
Yeah.
Laura, I Saw You in L.A. I had a song called Kilpatrick's Defeat with some country riffs, and Todd looked at some of those riffs for a song called Range War. I had a song called Tonight I Want to Love Me a Stranger Again from my first Capitol album that Todd and I produced. And he wrote a song called Hungry for Love, which stole like the bass line. So he was definitely influenced by my music, and of course, I was incredibly influenced by his. But he took his music to places I couldn't even begin to think about. Some of the things like A Treaty on Fire, or just he would just take these Lauren Lyric chord progressions and then just take them to places no one ever took them before, you know, and beyond what I would think of doing with music using a lot of major and minor seventh chords.
Yeah.
I
Extremely
was influenced a
influential.
lot by his lyric writing and his incredible energy. I mean, we're talking about when we were starting out, 18, 19, 20, 21, when he was doing his first album, I was doing mine. Playing together in Utopia, writing the material there together. We were just two birds of a feather, two peas of the pod, and we had a strong musical relationship, which carried us through a lot of situations.
And that brotherhood was definitely evident last weekend. I was so happy to be in the room watching you guys collaborating and smiling and having such a great time on stage together. That was a dream come true to me and a lot of the other fans. We're so lucky. And
And for me too.
oh man,
We hadn't played together since 1978, really, since we did Back to the Bars. So that was 32 years ago. Utopia hadn't played together, the original Utopia, or Utopia Mark II, as they call it, since 1975, 74. So, you know, you're dealing with a band that hadn't played together in 35 years.
well,
Just all of a sudden we're up there, all of us from 35 years ago, playing all the old songs in front of a packed house. That was Utopia. It was like we were back in time.
yeah.
Shot back 35 years. And the great thing is everyone can still play that stuff. Everyone still sounds great.
Well, as I've said, the Beatles fans and Who fans don't have it this good. I'm sitting here in my studio, staring at my wall, and I've got you on two posters. I've got an original Utopia
Wow.
I poster with band members listed on the bottom, and then I have this poster from 13Q radio station, and it's got pictures of all of you in the Mark II lineup. And it's I'd love to take a I'd love to send you a scan of this because it's I've never
Why
seen
don't
this.
you? Or send me a link to where you have it up on a
Yeah.
website or something.
I'll just take a picture of my wall just to show you that how much of an influence you are to working musicians because when I'm here recording everything from you know pop to country to Latin, they all come in and it's like you know they're there cutting vocals in front of the Utopia Eye and the picture of you playing keys, you know. So that's thank you for being such a great influence. And
Well, thank you for letting me be a great influence. You go way back, you know.
oh man,
It was a moment in time, and people seem to have remembered it per infinitum, the way all the fans came out for 2 nights at the Highline Ballroom. And
it's
we
a
had those
beautiful thing,
sold-out
man.
shows with fanatical fans. It was amazing.
So my next
The whole thing
question.
was mind-blower to the nth degree.
Oh, sorry, sorry, I didn't catch that. What was the last thing you said?
I said the whole thing, the Utopia reunion 35 years later, with
Yeah,
all the original members playing material from 35 years ago, with all the fans, probably most of them from 35 years ago, uh, getting into it, it was a mind blower to the nth degree. You know,
when you guys broke into Utopia theme, I felt like the entire room just was in ecstasy. The crowd was absolutely. I've never been in a crowd so enthusiastic before, and it's amazing.
That's where I felt.
Amazing. We were in sheer disbelief at how good it sounded. To me personally, it could have if it could have been just another night on the '74 tour. You know, just another
Wow.
night. You know, it's almost like you guys had just played a few gigs the week before. You know, that was so good. So my next question, you actually already answered a little bit. Um, obviously, well,
I
I
like
wanted
to
to ask you.
answer the questions before you ask them. That's what I like.
Yeah. So, obviously, Utopia was in the midst of the progressive rock boom of the mid '70s, and Todd kind of freaked everyone out when he went from "Hello, It's Me" to "Wizard of True Star" to Todd to Utopia. So, my question is, how was your approach to progressive rock? Was it natural, or was it something you had to really research and figure out what to do? And was it a surprise that Todd all of a sudden said, "All right, guys, we're gonna be Yes and Mahavishnu Orchestra, but still be Utopia"? You know, how was that?
Well, Mahavishnu was a huge influence. In fact, I was very close with one of the members, Jan Hammer. He used to come up to Secret Sound and jam out a lot. He played on my second album. Uh, yes, we loved Yes. It was just an amazing band. You have to put Shakuria in there, Return to Forever. They were a huge influence. There were a lot of jazz rock influences, like Don Siegler had been playing with Herbie Mann and meeting a lot of other incredible jazz musicians before he joined Utopia. So, so there was a heavy jazz influence there. There was Ralph, just had an incredible kinship with me playing blues, funk, New Orleans, and jazz. You could play jazz too. Um, so these are influences we all had already. And what we did was we just pooled them into a new sound. Um, and Todd just took that. He took a look at everyone's influences and musical peculiarities and put them all into the pot and mixed it, and it came out Utopia, um, which was good. You know, band members knew what he wanted, so we would take the opportunity to write musical pieces that he could put lyrics to or combine. So he took all these disparate influences that were already there and just combined them as opposed to telling us, okay, we got to go out and listen to this music. We were all into all that music before Utopia.
Great. And yeah, and it was it. Well, and basically, you created a very interesting style with a lot of your playing, like on Freak Parade and you're part of the icon by including some of your influences. So I wanted to kind of get some of your influences towards piano. I mean, obviously, you're a boogie woogie master. What were some of your other influences aside from everything that we've talked about in Gershwin and obviously you have some boogie woogie influences.
Well, you can take Alan Toussaint and Mac Rebenak, a.k.a. Dr. John, are huge influences on me. You know, when I was young, I ended up doing an album with Dr. John and with Keith Emerson. It was this super session album that Eric Clapton played on. So I got to work with these keyboard giants when I was very young. Uh, Keith Jarrett is my favorite piano player of all time, and his spontaneous solo concerts where he composed on the spot. You know, a whole night's worth of spontaneous composition. I love those. All the solo albums. I was lucky enough to get to study with Keith Jarrett. You know, I like classic jazz piano players like Bill Evans, Bud Powell, Fats Waller, James P. Johnson. People like and Art Tatum is the king of kings in terms of piano. Just a lot of classic jazz piano players. I just used to listen to it all the time and study it. Uh, and then hang out with jazz musicians too. Like this guy Joel O'Brien Bishop played in the band with me called the Glitter House. He played in the band with Ralph called Joe Mama. And he was like a hardcore jazz musician. He could play bebop jazz on every instrument. He could play it on piano. He could play it on saxophone, on vibes. He was a drummer. Played rock drums, but he could play jazz, and he studied, listened to all the greats all the time. So he was a great teacher too. This guy Joel O'Brien, the bishop, they called him. Uh, who else? Just Chick Corea, a huge influence. Um, that period, George Gershwin, incredible influence. His piano playing as well. Oscar Levant, who could play in the Gershwin style. What's the guy that works with Dick Hyman? Incredible. That piano player who does all of Woody Allen movie soundtracks. And he plays amazing old style jazz in the mode of Fats Waller, James P. Johnson, and all those 20s and 30s strike piano player, but he has an incredible. Dick Spiderbeck was a horn player and composer from the 1920s. He was a big influence on.
Great. Here's an interesting question.
Jimmy Smith, organ players were huge influence. Jimmy Smith, Jimmy McGriff, Larry Young, all huge influences. I used to go see Larry Young play a lot. I got to see Jimmy Smith play twice in 1 week, a week before he died at the Iridium. I was able to go see him twice in a week, and then the following week he died. So it was pretty strange. I had never seen him before, but he was great to the end, Jimmy Smith.
Well, another thing is that you were very versatile in the studio. On one side, you'd be playing some extremely difficult piano parts, like on the Nightmare Waltz, and then on the next side, you're playing the iconic organ part on "Hello, It's Me." Um, when did you get your start on the organ and the synthesizers?
I was playing in a band called Moogy and the Rhythm Kings. We just put out an album of a radio concert we did in 1972. You can find it at moogymusic.com. But that's when I really got into organ. Actually, I was into it with this group, the Glitter House, and they bought me my own Hammond L100. So I was playing real Hammond organ. I was always playing organ. And Farfisa, I used to play back in the day before you could go like a Hammond around. So since I was playing, Al Cooper, another huge influence on me. The classic rock organ player from Bob Dylan's records.
And you got to play with him on the
Rolling. What's that?
And you got to play with him on the Shuggy Otis record, right?
Right, and we had a band together for about 2 minutes. I was in his band. Al Cooper was a great keyboardist.
Was it after Blood, Sweat, and Tears or before?
It was after Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Great.
But he had a huge influence. And I was, I had a band when I was 16. Somebody just sent me the tapes of our records when I was 16, and it was pretty amazing.
Wow.
I was playing Al Cooper organ on all my early tracks at age 16. So when I was getting to Bob Dylan, I got into Al Cooper and folk rock organ. I got into Jimmy Smith early, and kind of, came up with my own style. Procol Harum, Matthew Fisher from Procol Harum, big influence. That sound, I was into it from pretty young. As the keyboard player, Stevie Winwood, Spencer Davis, huge influence.
What were
Al Cooper in the Blues Project. When he was in the Blues Project, he was great there.
Sorry, Moogy. What were some of your favorite keyboards at the time in the 70s when you were playing with Utopia?
Well, I had a Mini Moog. I like that. I had a Fender Rhodes. I had a Hammond L100 or a Hammond C3. Smaller versions of the B3. Love that. We had a Yamaha brand in the studio. I didn't get to play that much on the road, though. So those were my basic clavinet, the Hornet clavinet we would use a lot. We used pretty basic stuff. We got into some more synth type sounds. An RMI computer keyboard that used punch cards. We used that on one or two of the tours. Uh, a mini chord. They had a mini chord that was a great mono synth that I would use. That was basically it. Todd would buy the keyboards and we would learn how to use them, Ralph, and throw them into the sound.
I've seen you play a Sound City electric piano, one of those Italian
Right,
things.
one you could put around your neck and dance with. That's what I used to do.
Yeah.
And the
You
encores
and
with
Edgar Winter
Utopia.
were the only guys doing that. Well, maybe uh yeah, Billy Preston too. That was a cool thing.
Right, I was in Edgar Winter's band for a while, and I did 2 albums with his brother, Johnny Winter, way back in the day. Yeah, so Edgar was a big influence too. He's a great piano player and sax player, singing songwriter. And I got to play with him, and I got to record with his brother. His brother Johnny did one of my songs, Pink Cat of Kindness, on the Johnny Winter and album.
So now, fast forwarding to the shows at the High Line, you opened up the Utopia reunion shows with a piano solo with elements of jazz and boogie woogie that caused the crowd to cheer madly. How did you feel about the enthusiastic response that you had to just you alone on stage playing piano to all these Utopia freaks?
Yeah, I just got up there and just made it up as I went along. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I threw in a little bit of the Utopia theme, some boogie woogie, some jazz runs, some jazz chords, and Todd came out and started singing Never Never Land. So it was very spontaneous. It was not planned at all. He just said, go out there and play first, and then I'll join you. So it was different both nights, whatever it was.
It was wonderful.
And then we went to Never Never Land, which I had done on the first album, on the AWATS album, and I also played it on Back to the Bars Live. So it's a bit of a signature duet for me and Todd, Never Never.
How much preparation did you have to make to get back into progressive rock mode with Utopia?
Well, we did about a week of rehearsal with me and Kevin and John Segra at my house, and then Ralph flew out to New York from California, and we did about another 10 days of rehearsal with Ralph, and then Todd Rundgren for the very last day of rehearsal. And the last part of rehearsal appeared. He was supposed to do the whole day with us, but the planes were really screwed up because of all the snow, so he ended up doing 3 hours the day before the show. But we had it all down, and he basically had it all down, so I think it came out rather well.
It was phenomenal. It was really, really
It was.
And how did you feel playing those long sets? I know that this is a crazy thing that you're going through right now with the Big C, but I know that we talked about one of the things that's been talked about is the healing power of music, and is something is what the question is I'm trying to ask right now is what's next for you? Are you going to continue playing out as much as you can? What do you have in store? And how does the music make you feel now, especially in this time of your life?
Well, the music eliminates all pain. So whatever pain I'm in from my battle with the Big C goes away when I play music. So it's great. Music is really a real pain reliever, and listening to music is also a pain reliever. Music is magical, and the fact that I've been really in a pretty deep struggle with cancer for a while in hospitals and getting operations and treatments, and that I was able to rise up and do these long concerts and these long rehearsals and not feel it, not feel anything but the joy was amazing. And the way the crowd connected with me personally on stage and with the band, the vibes were incredible, and it's just a whole shot in the arm for me. And it is a musical rebirth, which is sad that it had to happen because it's a benefit for a guy with a serious disease when it should be the start of a whole new musical life, and it is for as long as I'm around. We're going to try to do some more Utopia gigs. We're going to try to book some more. And Todd said if we could work it within his schedule, he would do it. And the same thing with the rest of the band. So um, we're going to try to set up some more shows. And I play with a band called the Peaceniks. We have two albums out on a label called Band Together, and we gig about once every 2 weeks in the city or once a month, depending. And we just released our second album. So we're busy out there trying to promote that. And now I have this other band called the Utopia Brothers with Kevin and John Seeker from Utopia and some other phenomenal musicians. This guitar player Donnie Salenza and the singer Julie Eigenberg. And we did this benefit with my group, the Peaceniks. So it looks like I might be doing some shows without Todd with the Peaceniks and the Utopia Brothers. And then hopefully some more Utopia shows. And the thing is to try to do them soon because my health situation is a serious one. I don't really know how long I have good enough health to be able to continue on. So I like to keep things moving while I can move.
Amen, man. You have there's a lot of people that I think are going to be very touched by your story and very inspired by your story because you haven't given up. One of the things that I really loved that you said at your show was that you're not going up there, you're not going down there. I'm staying right here, and that really touched me because you definitely are a fighter and you're an inspiration to anyone who even if they're not fighting a disease, it could be fighting depression or the lack of inspiration. I mean, look, you are more inspired than ever, and you are using this amazing gift that we have of music to fight this disease and to stay positive. And I think you're doing great, man. And I hope it continues to be a wonderful story for everyone and a wonderful influence for everyone who feels those utopian vibes and feels that power and that energy coming from you. And it was a
And,
tribute.
and it's not a failure if I don't make it. It doesn't represent failure. It represents a joy at the end of life. That's something this joyous and this positive can happen. So it was a miracle.
Yeah,
I was able to do these shows, honest to God.
yeah,
It's a miracle when I get up on stage every month with my band. These things getting out of the hospital or out of some treatment. And ultimately, if I could hang around a few more years, it would be great. But if I can't, if I go soon, it's still an incredibly positive thing. And we were able to do this, that I was able to do this. And whatever happens, you know, it's a joyous occasion, even if I can't hold out all that much longer.
you're gonna hold out,
It's
man.
still joyous.
God willing, you're gonna hold out, and you're gonna continue to inspire and really it's make a lot of people happy. And your own creation, your the music that you created and you created with your brothers is gonna continue to heal you and make you so happy for the rest of your life.
I am healed. Even if I die, I'm healed. This has healed me. It might not necessarily cure me, but it has healed.
Amazing, Moogie.
You know?
Well, Moogie, it's been a very inspiring thing to be here talking to you, and I will I will create the best possible article and interview for you because I feel that this is something that the mass public needs to know about, and it's something that could be inspiring to anyone, whether they're a dance producer or a kid learning how to play piano or somebody else reading the magazine for gear reviews. Doesn't matter. This is going to be something that hopefully will inspire and will create great vibes through the pages. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to interview you. It's been a real amazing pleasure, and thank you for
Well,
being a
just
good friend.
remember that music is its own reward. To play music itself is rewarding. That music has the power to heal, power to cure pain, power to inspire, and they don't tell you that in the hospitals the way they should. They don't consider it enough, but music is amazing magic and amazing medicine. And it's brought me and all these people around me a lot of joy in my final hours, perhaps.
Wonderful, man. Well, Moogie, thank you so much for spending some time with me, and I can't wait to hear more music from you. I plan on going up to New York to see you play again. We'll keep in touch with you, and I will let you know when this publishes. And this is great. Thank you so much, Moogie.
All right. You take care now.
Have a wonderful evening, man.
Thank you, man. You too.
Thanks. Keep in touch. Thank you.
I will.